Do you solemnly swear that the testifying you give before this court today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, subject to the Krishana Lee, Elder.
And generally, where do you live?
I live here in Grand Junction, Colorado.
And how long have you lived here?
I lived here since 2004.
How many people live at your household?
I have 4.
And who are they?
Me, my husband Steve Willie, Apollo Elder, and Artemis Elder.
And Apollo and Artemis Elder are the 2 children that subject to these proceedings today?
Yes, sir.
And you're also the children's grandmother?
Yes, sir.
And then you're the kinship placement. And how long have your children been?
It has been almost 2 years. I believe it is May 23rd.
And how long old was Apollo?
Apollo was almost 2. He turned 2 in June.
And how old is he now?
He will be 4.
And how old was Artemis when she was placed?
Artemis was barely a year old. She was not a year old.
Oh, quite a year old.
Yep. Mm-hmm. She turned 1 in July.
Okay, so about
Couple
10 and a half months.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, and how old is she now?
She is going to be 3.
And do you know Vicki Alford?
Yes, sir.
How do you know her?
She's the children's mother.
Okay. You know her before that, or in conjunction with that?
Yes.
And then how do you know Austin?
Austin Elder's my son.
The children's father?
The children's father.
Now, at the time the children were placed with you, did Austin have visitation with the children?
No, Austin had been in and out of jail for the last couple of months, year or so.
Okay. And then when did he get into a position where he could start having visits?
After the adjudication, I would probably say 6 to 9 months. I cannot remember the exact date where he was allowed to have visitation supervised. But it was, I believe, after adjudication.
And then started out with, well, he's in custody, so we couldn't have visitation.
Correct.
And then he got out about 9 months later,
I believe so.
and then he started the supervised visitation.
Yes, sir.
Okay. How did the supervised visitation go?
As far as I could, from what I understood, his visits were okay. We're going fine.
Going fine?
Yeah.
I know there's been allegations that during the time he had supervised visits, that he was able to get additional time or unsupervised visits with the children. Is that correct?
That is not correct. After he was able to do visitations with Ariel, we had another meeting where I was able to be the supervisor for Austin. Those visits were at my house.
At your house at that time?
Yes.
And that was after you were authorized to be a supervisor?
Yes.
And then how have these visits changed over time regarding the children?
Just more and more time eventually. Do you want the schedule that he has now, or?
Sure, that would.
So right now, they have visits with their father on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sundays.
And as the visits increased, was that done by the court?
I believe that we had free abilities to let him have unlimited scheduled time or unlimited time with the children.
Okay,
So we've just made our own schedule around his work and my work and,
but that was that done by court order? Without allowing additional time with children to supervise, to unsupervised?
I'm not sure. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
or the department,
I'm sorry.
or the department?
I believe it was all okay by everybody. It was not a choice that I made independently.
Okay, so you had authorization from somebody to the department employee?
Yes.
To the best of your knowledge, how do the visits go in Austin has the children?
Also, they're going great. We haven't had any issues.
Now regarding Vicky Alford, what kind of visits did she have when you first had the children?
She had she had visits set up, I believe, on Thursdays for 2.5 hours.
And were they supervised?
Yes, they are still supervised.
And they are still supervised?
Yes, sir.
And there's been no change within whether they're supervised or who can supervise?
No, that has not changed. I think her parents at one time were trying to be, but I don't know what happened.
Okay.
So,
Now, has Vicky Alford contacted you since you had custody of the children?
yes.
What were the nature of these contacts?
Rude, threatening, and just in general, just nasty.
And what kind of threatening?
Objection, this happened before the adjudication trial.
I'm gonna sustain the objection because we don't know a time frame. Can you pin this to a time frame?
Certainly. When were those communications done? The communications to you?
So I believe they started in the middle of May. And I would have to look at my phone to see the last text messages from her. But I don't have a date right now, I'm sorry.
Do you have your phone with you?
It's in my purse over there.
Your Honor, may she use her phone to refresh her recollection?
She may do so. We'll need a year on that as well.
Yes.
It looks like the very last text that I got from her was August 10th,
Of what?
2023.
Of 23?
Yes, at 8 p.m.
So no other texts since that time?
No,
Any other communications to you directly?
No.
Time? Your Honor, it does appear that they were prior to that.
I'll strike the testimony regarding the contacts being rude, threatening, and nasty from the record.
Now, if you're awarded APS with the children,
APR.
or I mean APR, excuse me,
Sorry.
APR with the children, what are your concerns with the parents?
My main concern is with Vicky Alford.
And what are those concerns?
That she will keep us tied up in court. Harassment would continue or start up again. That is what I'm afraid of.
Do you report there's no court intervention if that type of harassment?
Yeah, I don't have any protection right now. A lot of the a lot of her concerns are being filtered through our caseworker, Katie. And of course, we have Cassie and all that.
You're afraid that if orders aren't imposed that protect you, that could be another direct line to you?
Yes.
Do you believe that Ms. Alford needs to show substantial improvement in her treatment plan in order to modify?
Yes.
And how would you like to see visitations in the beginning?
I would not object to them staying as they are
With supervision?
with supervision. If we can keep the nastiness to the side. If we can't, I guess, I would prefer to do once a month for the same time period, 2.5 hours.
And regarding decision making?
I would like to have all sole decision making for both of the children.
How about consulting with the parents regarding major medical decisions and other important decisions?
I'm willing to confer and talk with and get both parents' opinions on if anything did like that come up, that we would be able to come up with a plan, or at least be able to. But if not, I would like to be the one making the sole decision for them.
And in regards to communications with the parents, how would you like to see those?
With my son, I have the best relationship so far with him that we've ever had in both of our lives. So right now, that is fine. We can continue to talk, text, any of those things. With Vicki Alford, I would prefer to be on a parenting app that I've heard about.
Parenting talk or whatever.
Yes, talking parents, or anything that would limit my contact with her.
And would you ask the court to include as part of the order that those communications occur through that app?
Yes, sir.
Third party app?
Yes.
You kind of addressed a little bit that you don't want the parents to continue to take you to court for modifications, things like that. What is your concern there?
That will be tied up in court, that every modification or every motion that is put in takes up time away from my work. I am the sole provider right now for my family. And so I believe that not only financially that could hurt us, I have a hard time dealing with the constant it would just be hard. I can't be tied up in court every day that she files a motion.
Would you ask the court to enter orders putting limits on the amount of times that you can be taken in for modification?
Yes, anything to protect me and my family.
Would you like to see that tied to substantial progress in the treatment plan?
Substantial progress, please.
And that Ms. Alford would have to show that progress prior to filing, or concurrently with filing any motion to modify?
Yes, please.
Now, in regards to especially to your son, because his visitations are unsupervised at this time,
Yes.
would you like to have some protections that if you have a reasonable suspicion that he may be using again, that you have the right to make him take a drug test?
Yes, 100%.
And then if Miss Alford gets to the point in some time where she has that, have that same term?
Yes, please.
Now, have you seen the position paper that was filed on behalf of your son Austin in this case?
I have not seen any paperwork, no.
Okay, do you know what the position for Mr. Elder is?
That I have sole custody or sole decision making.
Yeah, or that the children be placed with you in APR?
Yes,
And
yes,
that you have the decision making regarding the children?
yes,
That he has a minimum, has at least an amount of visitation regarding the children? And that you have the ability to ask for drug tests or other items if you think that something is occurring in that regard?
yes,
And you agree with that?
yes.
Let's talk a little bit about your relationship with the children.
Okay,
Okay, you've indicated that you've had them for approximately 2 years now.
yes, sir.
Okay, what is your relationship with them?
They're my grandbabies.
Do you feel that you're bonding with them?
Oh, yes, yeah, yeah,
And that they rely on you for the care at this
yes.
time? You and your husband?
My husband, yeah.
You have the best interest of those children in mind when in agreeing to do this?
Yes,
And do you think you could be a permanent home for Apollo and Artemis if necessary?
if necessary, yes.
And are you willing to be adopted parent for the children if necessary?
If necessary, yes.
Your Honor, that's all the questions I have, so to redirect.
Thank you very much, Ms. Alford. If you'd like to ask this witness any questions, you may do so at this time.
Okay. Okay. My questions. Okay. Can I let the GAL go
Your Honor,
first?
it appears that Miss Alford has her phone in her lap. Is she doing something on it?
Alford, would you please put your phone on? Where is your phone? I'm gonna remind you again that there's a requirement that you not be recording.
I'm
on
not
your phone
recording.
during this
I'm
proceeding.
not recording. I'm
Just
sending.
reminding everyone of the rules.
Mhm.
Show me if you're
So
recording.
make sure
Yeah.
that you are not recording on your phone.
Judge, I can get a second. I wasn't sure if she whatever you want to do.
Thank you, Mr. Yorko. We did use that order yesterday. I did that purposefully because it might assist Ms. Alford in figuring out the appropriate way to cross-examine, appreciating that she's pro se. So thank you for reminding me. And Ms. Yorko, would you, or Mr. Yorko, please go second, and then we'll have Ms. Coleman go third, and then Ms. Alford, you can go fourth.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Ms. Elder.
Good morning.
You probably haven't testified too many times before, correct?
I'm sorry?
You probably have not testified in court too many times before,
No.
correct?
No.
It's fair to say a little nervous?
Yes, very.
Okay, understood. You don't want to keep going back to court in the future, is that correct?
No,
If it can be avoided.
if it can be avoided, yes.
It sounds like you already raised at least one child on your own, and that, or not on your own, but you already raised one child, and that was Mr. Elder, correct?
Yes, and he has a brother.
Okay, so 2 kids you've already raised.
Yeah.
You probably weren't expecting to raise another 2 additional infants, correct?
Absolutely not.
But regardless, you stepped up and you were willing to care for these children, correct?
Yes,
And that's because you care deeply about them, correct?
yes,
And you want them to remain with family, correct?
yes,
You wouldn't want them to be in some sort of foster care.
no,
And you're not opposed to Miss Alford getting family time in the future, correct?
I'm
like
not,
additional family time?
I am not opposed to that, no.
It sounds like she just, in your view, she just needs to comply with the treatment plan, correct?
Yes, sir.
You wouldn't keep the children away from Miss Alford, correct?
No,
Since these children have been in your care, you've taken them to doctor's appointments, correct?
yes,
It sounds like they might be too young for school, but you've gotten them to, have they been in some sort of daycare?
no. They had attended daycare once, I apologize. But it was just for like a half day, just to kind of get them introduced to possibly going into daycare if that's what we decide to do or we decide to do as a family.
Okay, and when they're school age, you're going to get them enrolled in school, correct?
Yes,
And you've been able to provide food for them, correct?
yes,
And beds for them, correct?
yes,
That all their, as far as you've seen, all their needs have been met in your care, correct?
yes,
It sounds like you and Mr. Elder are close, correct?
yes.
But you wouldn't, if in the future, there needs to be some kind of boundaries, you wouldn't have any problem with imposing those boundaries, correct?
No,
You've done that in the past.
I have done that in the past and I will continue to do so.
And that's when the kids were first placed in your care and you still got them to supervise visits with them, correct?
Yes,
You don't currently have any concerns about him not being witness.
no, not at this point in time, no.
And so if things develop, you'd be willing to at least keep the parents informed about major things going on with the children, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
You want them to be in the children's lives.
I do want them to be in the children's lives.
Okay, thank you. No other questions.
Thank you.
Ms. Coleman?
I don't have any.
Thank you, Ms. Coleman. Ms. Alford, you may now question Ms. Mitchell if you would like to.
We can't ask anything about what was said during the adjudication trial.
No, that's a matter of record. So we're looking at what has happened since that time. Generally, if you needed to use it to impeach a witness, that's prior testimony, and so you could do that as impeachment. But otherwise,
Okay.
we're looking at the time frame going forward.
Okay. I do want to do that.
You may begin with your question. I'm sure if any of these attorneys object, that they will, and I'll rule on it as it comes up.
Thank you. Elder, you testified before in this case. You testified before in this case that you didn't know that there was a protection order in place.
Objection, Your Honor.
She's not.
Hold on, before you guys go ahead with your objections, Ms. Elder, please finish your question. I'm sorry, Ms. Alford.
So you testified before in this case that you were unaware of any protection orders between myself and Mr. Elder.
Now pause before you answer. Do you have objections?
I do, Judge. She's not impeaching any statement she's made today. This is just asking about a protection order that wasn't brought up on direct.
So in order for you, Ms. Alford, to impeach a witness, you have to be challenging something that they actually testified about in this hearing. I'm sorry if I didn't make that clear. So I will sustain that objection because there wasn't any testimony on direct about protection orders.
Okay. Ms. Elder, You said that harassment would start up again, right? Yes. Do you believe or know if harassment is a crime in Colorado?
I believe that it is, yes.
Are you aware of any pending criminal charges?
Objection, Your Honor. I think this is out of the scope of the cross-examination in this. I don't think that her knowledge of her charges are relevant as to this issue of whether or not harassment might start.
Hold that thought, Mr. Stearman. Please finish your question.
Thank you. Ms. Elder, are you aware of any pending criminal charges against me for this harassment that you referenced?
Before you answer, Mr. Stearman, do you still wish to present your objection?
Yes, Your Honor. I think that it's not relevant as to the issue of whether or not she believes that harassment may start again. Your Honor, another.
Hold on. Give me just a second. Go. Because this witness was asked if she's got concerns regarding Miss Alford's time with the children, I am going to grant some latitude and allow her to ask, allow Miss Alford to ask if she's aware of pending charges against her. So I'll overrule the objection. You may answer the question.
Is that for harassment or other cases that she has coming up?
It's specifically for her harassment that you referenced.
For the harassment. So can you re-ask the question, please?
Are you aware of any pending criminal charges against me for the harassment that you referenced today?
I have placed a couple of reports to the police. What the police have done with that at that point, I do not know.
So, can you answer the question? Yes or no?
Your Honor, I believe she answered the question.
So, are you aware of any convictions against me for any of this harassment that you referenced today?
No.
When you were talking earlier, you said our caseworker, Katie. Are you talking about Katie Liptrap?
In regards to just her being our caseworker?
Right.
Yes.
Is she your caseworker?
She is part of our team. She is the children's caseworker, I believe.
Are you here in place of Austin Elder today?
Am I what?
Are you here in place of Austin Elder today?
Your Honor, with the relevance of that, I think it's obvious that I called Miss Elder today, and she's here as a witness for the people.
Well, me and Mr. Elder are respondents, and Mr. Carver were respondents in the case, and Katie Liptrap was our caseworker. I'm not sure. I'm trying to find out if she's Miss Elder's caseworker as well.
So that's not what your question was. I'm going to sustain the objection to the question about whether or not she's here on behalf of Mr. Elder. She's called in Mr. Elder's chief. She's called in Mr. Stearman's case in chief. That makes her Mr. Stearman's. That makes her the people's witness. We haven't gotten to Mr. Elder's case in chief. Perhaps we will, but she's the people's witness at this point. You may ask your next question.
You said there's not sole decision making of the children to be ruled at the end of this case. Do you remember testifying that you did not want this responsibility?
At the very beginning of us getting the children, it was not a plan that we had. These were not our children. I did not want to take care of the children if we didn't have to. If either of the parent was able to take care of the children the way that they should have been taken care of, I wouldn't have to. Things were taken outside of the plans that me and my husband made for our life in general, and our life moving forward was not to have any more children to take care of. But now that we found out that the two parents can't take care of the children the way that they deserve to be taken care of, somebody has to stand up and take care of them. And we have. Whether we wanted to or not, that's not a choice. We are looking at the best interests of these little babies.
Okay. You said that the children weren't being taken care of the way that they were supposed to be taken care of. Can you explicitly elaborate on what you mean by that?
Yes. The perfect example that I can name off right off the bat was that little Austin had to have his front tooth removed. And now he is not going to have his adult teeth. That now he has to live with that for the rest of his life. I have been afraid that.
Objection, we're not talking about little Austin.
So I am going to find that your question wasn't clear as to which child you were asking about. And so it is appropriate for this witness to respond with regard to any of the children for whom she is caring. If you would like to ask a more clear and directed question, you may do so.
Okay. So you said that the children were not being taken care of the way that they were supposed to be taken care of. And because of that, you now want to have full sole decision making of the children. And those children include Artemis and Apollo. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. So can you list specific, can you explicitly cite examples of what you mean by the children not being taken care of the way that they were supposed to be taken care of?
So this is prior to us getting custody of the children and prior to the adjudication is where I would have the issues at. For one, I used to pick up Apollo on Thursday evenings after I got off work. I would pick them up from your house, Miss Alford. Apollo would be not ready to go. He was dirty diaper, dirty clothes, dirty face, looking for socks, looking for shoes, putting a diaper bag together. A Thursday visit was a constant. It was almost every Thursday, and every Thursday I would have to put off having grandparent time with Apollo to wait for these things to be done. There was a time where I believe I showed up to your apartment to pick up Austin Carver and Apollo Elder. I had showed up to your place. I don't know where you were at that point in time inside the house, but Apollo was covered in like a carton of eggs. Again, a Saturday visit was a normal thing. And again, it was just that same kind of thing, you know. When you have a schedule, I want to use my other grandchildren as an example. When I pick them up, they're ready to go. When they were done, I dropped them off. There were times where I've waited for Miss Alford to get home to relieve me of Apollo. Sometimes we would wait in the car. I would say the longest time that we waited in the vehicle was about 45 minutes after the time where I told Vicki that I would be returning Apollo that day. Like I said, these two little ones are pretty little. So there was not like a long time frame to pull from. But these were every day or every interaction type things that we would have to do.
Okay. You said Apollo was dirty. What was he dirty with?
I don't know.
Was he dirty with feces?
Possibly.
Did he smell?
Apollo's always kind of had a small body odor, so.
Oh, so that's natural. So didn't smell like feces though.
Possibly. Like I said, if he's wearing a dirty diaper when I got there, yes. If not, no.
Do children wear diapers because they pee and poop in them?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so so he didn't smell more than normal, more than he normally does. Is it possible he could have been dirty with the food that he had just eaten?
Possibly it.
Is it more likely than not that he was dirty with general stuff that kids get dirty with, like food?
I don't know. I do know that I would take him home and put him in clean clothes before we left to go to the grocery store to get dinner that night. I did not want to take him out in public looking like that.
Okay. And that to you means that the children weren't being taken care of?
That is an indicator that the children have not been taken care of, yes.
That they have food on them? Did your children ever get messy when you were younger?
When we had a place to go or a place to be, my children were cleaned up before we left the house.
So not being ready to go means that the children are not being taken care of?
Once, twice, no, but for, a year or 9 months, yes, I believe that is an issue.
Is it an issue that would warrant a call to child protection hotline?
I don't know. I did not.
Your Honor, I object to that. In this case, when we're talking about an issue that occurred prior to the adjudication, there was adjudication, there was a finding by a jury regarding the children's environment was dangerous. That is not in question here.
I'm just trying to gauge the severity of what she believes not being taken care of.
But we're not in the adjudication proceeding. Those questions would have been appropriate perhaps before the jury in the adjudication proceeding, but the way we come into this proceeding is we accept the jury's findings that the children were dependent and neglected. And the issue that I have to decide is not whether they're dependent and neglected, but whether you have engaged in enough reformation since then for these children to be safely returned to you. And so that's the focus that we need to have on today's questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So since the adjudication trial, have you seen these concerns with the children? Are those in follow?
I don't understand your question.
So the concerns that we were just talking about.
You don't have custody of the children, so even when I
But
get
I
them
see
back
them.
on Thursdays,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they're still pretty dirty
With
with activities, with food, with everything, with a quick little wipe of their hands or their face.
and how do you believe that means that they're not being taken care of?
I'm not sure how to answer that question.
So if the kids are going back to placement after visits and they have crumbs or activities. Well, first of all, I'm gonna ask what activities are you talking about? Like what remnants of activities?
I don't know what you guys do in your 2.5-hour visits. I don't know.
Can you like describe explicitly like what you're citing?
I just did. They have food and whatever activities, painting. Like I said, I don't know what all you guys do on there, but
Okay, so it looks like paint and or food.
I do not know what you guys do at your 2.5-hour visits. Sorry.
But does it look like something that is concerning that I'm not taking care of the children during my visits?
I don't think your concern is for your kids at your visits. I think they're to harass me.
Have I contacted you before or after any visits? So can you clarify what you mean by my intent on having this with my children is to harass you?
Mm-hmm. Yep. That would be going through Alba, our caseworker, sorry, not the caseworker, but our supervisor for the visits right now. And then the concerns going through Katie.
What are those concerns?
Let's see. I think one of your concerns was a rash on a post face.
And that's harassment to you?
After every visit, after I have explained what the rash is and it's still coming back to me every visit, yes, I believe that that is harassment. It is a thing that happened. We've tried to take care of it. It's taken care of now. He no longer has the rash on his face.
So you don't believe a rash on a child's face is evidence that they're not being taken care of?
No.
And me raising those concerns about my child's medical health.
After I have explained it once, I do not believe that I should have to explain it every single week to a text message from a caseworker or our,
I haven't finished asking a question.
So I'm going to control these proceedings a little bit. You're continuing to ask the exact same question in an argumentative tone. The attorneys aren't objecting, so I allowed it. This witness is trying to answer. I'm going to ask you both to not talk over one another. I'm going to ask you to move on.
Okay. So what are your concerns about my parenting right now, other than that?
I am worried that you don't have the children's best interests at heart. I am worried about your mental health.
Are you a psychologist?
Your Honor, objection.
I'm going to
That's argumentative.
You asked a question. She was giving a list of answers, and the minute you received an answer that you could pounce on, you did. Please stop interrupting her. You will be able to ask your next question. Please continue with your answer.
I'm worried that you have not completed your treatment plan or the parenting plan that has been put in place since the children were placed with us.
Are you done? Okay, what part of the treatment plan?
I don't believe that we would be here today if you were continuing to do what the court has requested that you do to be able to take your children home.
So you don't know any specific items that you explicitly cite?
Objection asked Nancy.
Sustained.
Okay, what parenting plan?
I don't know what your question is.
Parenting plan was one of the things that in your list. I'm asking about that.
Have you completed your parenting plan?
I don't know any parenting plan. Can
You don't have a
tell me what
parenting plan?
parenting plan?
Objection, Your Honor.
Animosity between these parties, very obvious in this hearing. Ms. Elder, you may ask questions that are not argumentative. I'm sorry, Ms. Alfred, you may ask questions that are not argumentative. Ms. Elder, you'll need to answer those questions with as calm a temperament as you possibly can. If you don't know the answer, if the question doesn't make sense, you are free to say so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Trying to word it right. Have you been involved in the provider meetings?
Can you repeat that?
Have you attended provider meetings?
I believe I have been in one provider meeting, if all the meetings, they're hard to decipher, I apologize. I believe I have been to one.
Okay, were any specifics about my compliance with my treatment plan discussed?
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
Sustained.
During the provider meeting that she attended?
So that question asks for statements that were made by others who are not defendants in this case out of court. And in the way it was asked, it suggests that they're being offered for their truth. I will allow you to answer the yes or no question of that. Were there discussions about Ms. Alford? That doesn't call for the statements themselves, so you can answer that. But I'm going to sustain a hearsay objection as to what those statements might have been. So you may go ahead and answer that.
I have been to a provider meeting, but I cannot recall the full discussion. I don't know. I don't recall.
You said that if you were granted sole decision making for the children, you would only want me to see the kids for one visit a month, right?
Objection, that wasn't testimony.
I will sustain an objection that mischaracterizes the prior evidence.
So, what did you say was your plan for visitation if you were to get sole decision making of kids? Sorry, that's not following.
I'm sorry.
Did you say earlier today in your testimony what your plan was for my visitation of the children? Or missed the following?
As I stated, I would prefer that we go forward once a month until with the same time period, the 2.5 hours.
Not once a week, like, if I'm currently seeing them?
That's correct.
Okay, what would your basis be for requesting a severe reduction in my ability to see my children?
I've already stated that also would be harassment and a continue to motion every time you feel that you have made progression to see the kids. As I said before, I'm the sole provider of my family. I cannot be tied up in court with you every day or every once a week or whatever it is that you decide you want to file a motion on when you would be able to see your kids again or more time.
Well, you stated the harassment was due to my concerns for my child's medical issues.
Again,
That was characterized as testimony.
Sustained.
So,
You may re-ask the question. And you have to rephrase it so that it matches. It's consistent with the testimony.
okay, so you just said that you would want to severely reduce my visits with my children on the basis of your fear of harassment. Is that accurate?
yes, or being tied up in court with motions.
It's my right to file motions.
Objection, Your Honor.
Once again, you can ask questions. You're not here at this time to testify. Ultimately, when we get to your case in chief, if you choose to testify, you'll be able to.
Give me 1 second.
Sure.
My computer's broken. Hang on.